My friends, I'm sure you're probably wondering to yourselves, why am I wearing my chef whites? Very simple fact of the matter is that I am a chef. I've mentioned this in earlier videos. I also said that I was not going to continuously harp on the, I don't know what you want to call it, the drama that's been involved with me and the New York Mercantile Exchange. I have bigger fish to fry. See, this jacket that I'm wearing, this chef coat, I earned this chef coat. I'm proud of the work that I did to earn this chef coat. And when I watch what passes as chefs on television nowadays, it makes me sick to my stomach. The Anthony Bourdains, the Drummonds, the Rachel Rays, and God forbid, God help me, Guy Fieri. They make me nauseous. Let's start off with Tony Bourdain, or as I like to call him, Phony Bourdain. Yes, I read his book, Kitchen Confidential. It was entertaining. Yeah, I enjoyed it. He worked in a bunch of crappy restaurants, did a lot of drugs, claims to be a New Yorker who was born and raised in New Jersey and only came into New York to buy his drugs. You are not a New Yorker, Tony Bourdain. You are a person from New Jersey. You, sir, are a phony who somehow managed to write an obnoxious book by your own admission. You wrote an obnoxious book and you gained success, and now you're in the public eye. Congratulations. You've achieved what many people have tried their entire lives and have failed. Drummond, the pioneer woman. You are an insult to everything the culinary world has to offer. You are nothing but a blogger. You are a lonely housewife who sat in front of her computer and shared recipes, most of which probably came off of the back of a package. And you were snatched up by the Food Network. And don't even get me started on the Food Network, because what was once started off as a brilliant idea and had great chefs working for them, like the great Mario Batali, who was basically too good for television, even though I don't agree with his politics, but I digress. The Food Network has become an absolute joke. Let alone Drummond. Let alone Rachel Ray, who by her own admission is not a chef. They turned their backs on Paula Deen, the most inoffensive person in the world, for a comment she made 20 years ago. This is a Southern woman who said the N-word. Okay, big deal. It's a word. But Paula Deen too, as much as I love the woman, her recipes come off the back of a package. In her own books, she says it. And then there's Guy Fieri. If I had the Pepto-Bismol handy right now, I would drink it. Straight from the bottle, who needs the cap? Guy Fieri is an affront to everything that the culinary world has ever established. I earned this jacket by waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day, sometimes earlier, sometimes even 4. Studying under obnoxious chefs who took the job as chef in culinary schools because they got tired of the daily grind of working in the kitchen. I am wearing a pale white jacket today. I see these guys wearing their bright red and their black. Ooh, they're so fancy. You look like a damn clown. I worked tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears. My fellow chefs will appreciate this. There's no praise, there's no glory. There was a time where being a chef would leave people in a party setting who'd say, wow, really? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me how you do this. Hey, listen, if you had this cut of meat, how would you prepare this? No, what you get nowadays is like, yeah, I'm a cook too. I make the best eggplant parmesan you've ever tasted. I put a little sugar in my sauce. Let me tell you something right now. If you even mention the fact that you put sugar or bay leaf in your sauce, you are not even fit to stand in the same kitchen as me. I won't let you touch my wooden spoon. That's how serious I take cooking. I don't know about you. I don't know what place you come from. I don't know how you were brought up. I don't know how you were raised. But there's a right way and a wrong way, and usually it's my way. You know, there's an expression that we use in the kitchen. Rule 1, chef is always right. Rule 2, see rule number 1. I work for some very reputable places. I will not name them because of obvious reasons, libel being one of them. This is not an authorized tape. This is my own personal choice of video. Places like the Food Network have completely and totally failed us. I mean, they're giving people like Tiffany Amber Thiessen her own cooking show. What are her fucking credentials? Pardon my French. Rev Run Sunday suppers. Don't even get me started on the fact that Rev Run is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for being a rap group, yet Jethro Tull is not. But that's a story for another time, and believe me, we will get to that. But cooking, getting your hands into the food, taking something from nothing, and in watching the expression on people's faces. I remember one time having a dinner party. It was on a night off. And I made homemade wonton soup, of all things. You say, okay, that sounds interesting. I watched as my friend's wife sat there, eating her soup, and closing her eyes as she swallowed and savored every bite. When I tell you that is the sexiest thing I have ever seen, I am not lying. That's what I love about cooking. You take humble, simple, pure ingredients and you turn them into magic. The biggest rule I can ever impart to anyone is respect your ingredient. Let the ingredient do its job. It's just like in golf, when they say, you paid all that money for the club, let the club do its job. Don't try to kill it. Just hit it. Well, it's the same rule in the kitchen. I got news for you. If you're making chicken, the bird's dead. There's no reason to kill it any further. Don't come to me and say, I want my steak well done. Don't talk to me about what you saw on the Food Network. Do you know, I actually did a study, my own personal study. 88% of the programming on the Food Network is diners, drive-ins, and dives with Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, who couldn't cook his way out of a paper bag if I cut it open for him. Guy Fieri, who is an absolute abomination to food. Guy Fieri, who everything is killer and it's kicking and oh gee, that's on the money. Really? That's how you want to behave? Fine. Then there's Anthony Bourdain. I own his cookbook, actually. I own the Leal cookbook. Did you know that not one of the recipes in that cookbook is his? They all belong to the owners. Not one of them is his. He says in his book, Kitchen Confidential, to learn Spanish, that the hardest workers in the kitchen are Spanish. I've worked in many kitchens. And you want to know something? There's a couple things he didn't mention about Spanish workers. And I know I'm going to get a lot of grief over this one. But I'm going to be honest and straight with you. They don't listen. They are perhaps the most single-handedly unsanitary people in the kitchen. They are subordinate. And they love to mock you. The only reason why you would want to learn Spanish is so that you could understand how they're insulting you behind your back. So when you look at your next television broadcast of what they call professional chefs on television, remember that there are real chefs out there who have worked very hard for their craft. When I go into a place like a BJ's or a Costco and I see someone standing there wearing a chef coat, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but it bothers me nonetheless. They didn't earn that chef coat. They were handed that chef coat so that they can hand you their little crumpets that they are offering in aisle 14 for the discounted price of $13.99. They have no business wearing the coat whatsoever. So this was just a little bit of a rant that I wanted to go on tonight. I guarantee you, like I said in my first video, that I will talk about cooking. I will share recipes. There will be a night where I come and I will give you an absolute walkthrough of some of my favorite recipes. And you can either listen or you can ignore me. It's your choice. But I guarantee you, if you listen, you'll keep it. Anyway, the upcoming videos are going to be politics. I plan on going off on our current on our current regime, because that's what it is. I'm not going to hold anything back, because I think that there's too little truth in the world, and especially nowadays, it needs to be said. But in the meantime, I would be remiss to not remind you of just a couple of things. I am now an author, and Are You Kosher? Memoirs of a Jewish Vampire was my first book. It was published in 2010. It's available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, and also on iUniverse. It is an absolutely politically incorrect and irreverent look at humanity through the eyes of a 6,000-year-old vampire. It is a comedy that is sure to make you laugh. My latest fiction came out early June, called The Queen and I, also available on all of those sites as well as in stores, and it is available through SBPRA. It is a dark comedy based on a playwright, a Broadway playwright named Jeffrey David Rothstein, whose life was turned upside down and who meets the ghost of a 1920s vaudevillian drag queen who wants to help him write the next big thing. And then the big one, the one that has caused me so much entertainment because of the names and the hatred that I've been the victim of. A Crude World. This is the true nonfiction story told from a person who was actually there, of commodities brokers. The men and women who handle the oil industry. I hold nothing back. I speak of everything. I tell it all. I hide nothing. I am ashamed of nothing. The only thing I hid were the names. I thank you for your time. I would ask that you share these videos, if you enjoy them, of course. I would also ask that you would go onto my YouTube page, Russell Andresen, Andresen, and subscribe. It only takes a second, and it is absolutely free. You can also find me on Facebook under the name Russell Andresen. You will be able to also find my new page, NYMEX, Now and Forever. You will find me on Twitter at RWA1974. You will find me on Instagram at author RWA1974. And you will find me on Tumblr on on Shy Red Fox, of all things. But for now, I thank you for your time, and I will see you again. Good night, good luck, God bless.